Hi there, I am Adam Kivas, and this is another episode of my podcast, Political Science. Thank you for joining me. Today we will continue where we left off the last time. Dirty campaigning is indeed a very wide topic, and we will not be able to discuss it here in its full extent. Of course, there are many variations of dirty campaigning, or we do not have to call it necessarily campaign or dirty campaigning, because these things happen on a daily basis, and it is not likely, or it is not like that people call it dirty campaigning at all. However, these are indeed very important instruments to understand politics. This is, you have to be aware of one thing, or we will be aware of one thing, that politics is not all about the good shine, is not all about nice people coming together and finding a solution for any problem whatsoever. No, politics is about ego. You have to have some sort of narcissistic personality in order to think that you can do it, that you can master it, to come ahead. So you have to be more social, you have to be eloquent in that sense, not only in speech but as well as in the public. You have to like being in the public sphere without anything you might, or without any consideration or of the negative effects, because being in the public sphere is indeed something you do not appreciate as a normal human being, especially if your private life is being discussed publicly. This is not something you want to do or be part of it. However, being a politician means that you and your party have to think in a way that you and you alone can solve an issue. This is what politics is about solving issues. And it is, as we have previously discussed, it is not only about winning elections, or politics is not only about winning elections, but as well as how to lead within in your own party. This is important as well. Politics is a very strongly personally based sphere. This means, even though it is not true in reality, but the public only sees one person. Think of Barack Obama during his presidency. We only saw Obama, the person. We rarely and seldomly saw the people behind him, his advisors and so on. The same is with Donald Trump, as well as with Joe Biden. Now with the Biden presidency, we rarely and seldomly see those people, advisors and so on behind the scenes, but rather this is all focused and centered around one person, and we perceive this person as the sole ruler. This is how our society is based on. And of course, you have to have special skills. We talked about it in order to come on top, in order to convince not only the people who vote for you that you are the best choice, that you can solve a problem, an issue, but as well as within your party as well. And I will some sort of introduce two very important words and phrases, so that we understand, and we have to separate those two spheres. The first phrase would be political tactics. This is partially derived from the military, but however, in our sphere, political tactics means the leadership in your own party. So this means how many people can you convince in your own party? This is how in politics, which people do you support, or which people do you allow in that sense to rise through the ranks in your party to gain followers and so on. So for example, if you have in a political party a more moderate part, a more moderate wing, do you want to support this moderate wing or within the party, or do you want to support the more radical wing, for example, in the Democrat Party? This is indeed the case. So leadership means that you have to some sort of come together with both wings of the party and then come to an agreement and so on. So the mastery of inner party tension, leadership, this is not different from leadership in a company. If you are the CEO of a company, you not only have to satisfy the company board, but as well as your employees, especially if you need a lot of intellectual input of your employees. If your employees need to be creative, need to support the company with valuable ideas, this is something indeed different because you cannot interchange creativity with an AI and so on. So you need, in that sense, leadership, how to speak with people, how to recruit the right people and how to support them and so on and so on. So political tactics is indeed a term which goes, of course, or considers a long-term interaction. So you don't think from election to election in order how to build your team. Think about a football team, think about a soccer team. You do not just want to win one game with your soccer team or with your NFL team or basketball team for that matter. No, you want to win an entire championships. For example, in soccer, this is the World Cup. This means you only have a selected few of people, a selected few of men in your own team, and you want to win this cup. And there you have to be smart and you have to think on long terms. This is what political tactics is all about. The second term we will introduce is political strategy. Strategy, in that sense, is how you position your party. Is, for example, this is very common in Europe or happened recently in Austria with the Conservative Party, that you, in a way, rebrand your party, that you put it in new legs, if you want, or new wheels, and want to some sort of gain more followers, or want to convey the message that there's a change, or a change happened within the party, which actually worked out for the Conservative Party in Austria, because they won elections with this new young chancellor who then could convince the public that a new dawn for Austrian politics started, because previously Austrian politics was pretty much a mess. It is still questionable. However, this rebranding, this how you position your party, your political affiliation. So if you want to, for example, the Biden campaigned before, when Joe Biden went to the presidency or campaigned for the presidency against Donald Trump, then he always tried to present himself as a moderate in order to gain a lot of support, or in a way you support a special political ideology and so on. in order to gain support. So this is political strategy, is how you appeal on the public, how you present yourself in the public, your PR campaigns, if you want. So you want to convince the voters, you want to convince people. The same is true for companies. For example, Amazon, how you represent yourself in the public as a modern company who supports, Black Lives Matters, and so on. And there are a lot of examples for them. Companies always try to gain support from the society, from the people who surround them, and so on. So these things are very important for a company. So their public image can mean a lot. Is only think about Starbucks. There was a huge issue with one Starbucks employee who used racial slurs against the customer, and then Starbucks immediately had to intervene in order not to lose public support and public backing. However, this was Starbucks in the US. I assume not in Austria. In Austria, Starbucks did worse without any consequences. So it is local. Your location does indeed matter. So these two terms are indeed very important, especially for the future of this podcast, so that whenever we analyze something, so that we have two, if you want, terms we can use. So political tactics would then mean to make it very simple, the interior processes of a party or a company, how you can gain leadership within a party or within a movement, let's say political entity, or in a company as well. And political strategy would then just mean how you represent yourself, how you present your image in the public, and how do you want your public image to be perceived. This is because, and this is why many companies as well as parties spend millions and billions on ad campaigns and so on. So you want to convey a special image of you as well as a special message, so which is unique, which makes your party unique, which makes your company as well as your party immediately recognized, and people associated with some certain things you want them to be associated with. This is indeed very important within the political sphere, so we should not, we have to emphasize this as well. And we will now continue with dirty campaigning, and I some sort of came up with three terms which, if you want, are very general, some sort of three general ways how people are campaigning, or if you want dirty campaigning, how people, if you want to some sort of have an edge over your opponent, what you should do, how you represent yourself, or how people do represent themselves to have your edge or over your opponent, how you can win elections, and so on and so on. These are, I think, three terms which are indeed very common within the political spheres, and if I assumably describe them, I assume everyone will immediately recognize them. The first term in political campaigning, how you represent yourself in the public. Remember, we talk about political strategy. Strategy here, this means how you position your party and yourself in the public in order to be recognized by your people, or by your voters, by supporters, whatever. And the first term would be moralization. Moralization is actually something which is quite often used in the political spheres. Think about the election between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Moralization played a crucial part in this election. For example, Donald Trump represented himself as someone who is not morally corrupted by Washington, who is not part of this elite of Washington, who is some sort of morally unsullied, who is clear of this cronyism in Washington, and he is some sort of an outsider. So he put himself on a moral pedestal, if you want. So he there is a new dawn, there is a new wave coming in. And in the opposite side, of course, those people who attacked Donald Trump, of course, eyed his companies. They focused on his success or his failures as an entrepreneur, as a businessman. And there you could see some things like the Trump University and so on, where people try to emphasize how morally corrupted this man is, that that he would be a con artist, that he deceives people and so on. So there were even a very famous speech of Barack Obama where he actually said that you some kind of feel deceived and so on. So this moralization plays a crucial role as well as in identity politics. If you only have a very common theme in moralization across continental Europe among leftist parties is, for example, that conservatives and the far right, they care little about people, especially the conservatives, would only be interested in big companies. They are puppets of big companies. This is what you have in the US as well. So it is always assumed that conservatives and Republicans are only interested in those interested in getting the tax breaks for those great companies or these great business enterprises, and this is all what they care. So this would be morally corrupted, and these people do not care about those poor people as well. So the left always puts himself as the on this moral high ground and puts themselves as the protectors of these of the poor people, or if you want, the simple man, how it is called in German, the einfache Mann, and so on. And the same you have in the far right group. This is especially true for continental Europe. This is rather confined, or not only in continental Europe, but as well as in the UK with UKIP and with around Nigel Farage in the UK. But this is the moralization is there about those natives, about those people who are not foreigners, about, if you want, in Austria, about Austrians who have been deceived, the Austrians who come last, or in Germany with the AfD people, their moralization circles around the narration that Germans, they come last, they are not treated equally in a state which, or in their country which supposed to belong to them. Why do not they come first? In Austria, for example, there was always this narration that if you are a refugee, or if you are someone who seeks asylum, then you get money from the state or support from the state, whereas an Austrian who has to struggle, who has a family, does not or can't make ends meet, because the the leftist elite within the country only supports foreigners. They hate Austrians. They do not like natives and so on. So this is a very grand narration within the within far-right groups, and this works. I mean, they won a lot of elections and so on, and you can see in there what you should do with moralization and what works with moralization. And if you see how these parties create the narration of moralization, then you always see that this is a grand narrative. It is always about us versus them. The far right always positions themselves as the ones who oppose this elite, who is against this false corrupted elite. This is the same way Donald Trump positioned himself. He is outside this elite. He is not corrupted by power. He is not corrupted by cronyism. One famous statement of Donald Trump was, "I do not owe anyone anything. I have my own money," and this works, and this worked in continental Europe as well. So this is us versus them. We are morally pure. This is what the far right always emphasizes. We are morally pure. We are simple people. We want our people first. We are not corrupted, and so on. And of course, this moralization is always about the future. It never stays with just one person. So it is about religion. For example, the far-right group always emphasized this is the loss of Christian values, and that they are the ones who are some sort of seeked out as the protectors of something valuable. So moralization, this concept of us versus them, firstly emphasizes that the others, that they are morally debauched, they are depraved, that they are destroying something significant, something valuable, and moralization. And as in contrast to those debauched and depraved people, you portray yourself as the pure ones, as the ones who then can help bring back those old values. This is very important. With moralization, you always portray that the moral values are gone. We live in a debauched, we live in debauchery, we live in a depraved society where only a few elites destroy our good old values. This is those values our ancestors and grandfathers established. They are all gone, and moralization therefore wants to bring back those values. Or the same you have with the left. This moralization, you have this in Bernie Sanders, as well as with Elizabeth Warren, this big tech company who deceives the state, who takes advantage of the state, who get tax breaks and so on, because they are lobbying for them. Well, they are very successful in lobbying these people. They destroy America. They destroy the livelihood of those peoples, and only we can fix it. Only we, as the leftist party, we know how to fix it, and we have to tax them, and all the others, especially the Republicans, they are all depraved. They all want the tax break. They are all puppets of big tech, of those big companies, and so on and so on. So you have this pedestal, and you always put yourself on a moral high ground than your opponent, so you know best. And moralization has one part. This is always the past. I mean, how people were deceived, or how people, or how in the how those past values are being thrown overboard. This is how the far right always presents it. So that the religion of our ancestors, Christianity, is gradually being eroded and interchanged with Islam, or transformed by Islam, and that the Islamic threat would destroy the state from within, and that they, as the saviors, have to put an end to it. And this is what you have partially with the left as well. So there's those big companies who own Washington, who are some sort of are only interested in their own gains. They have been taking advantage of normal workers for far too long, and now we have to end this, and so on, and so on, and so on, and moralization. This is very important. This is always about the entire family. This is about children. This is about, if you only see the narration of some far right groups, then it's always some sort of this suggestive question: in what future do you want to live? In what future will your children live? This is always something at stake here, especially something in the future is at stake. And at stake are moral values. So we in the future, for example, this is the narration of the far right. In the future, your children will all wear headscarves and will speak a foreign language, and will all become Muslims, and so on. So there is always this threat. This is very crucial. Moralization only works well when there is always a threat. There's a looming threat in the future, and now a few groups who have moral values, who have virtues, and so on, they are the ones who can fix it. So, and protect your children, and so on. So this is always very strong appeal that moralization, for that matter, is about future, and it is as well as about moralization is as well as personal in that sense. I mean, you want your opponent, the person who is leading the campaign of the party you campaign against, you fight against. This is the person who then embodies this moral depravity, this debauchery, and so on. So you want to some sort of destroy your opponent in the public eye. You want to show that your opponent is a person who leads the campaign, or whatever, or that this person is morally corrupt, that this person is part of the elite, which pretty much happened in the Trump presidency, where Donald Trump could successfully portray Hillary Clinton as part of the elite, as someone who does not care about ordinary Americans, and so on and so forth. And with this racism, with this anti Mexican rhetoric, he then could some sort of emphasize that Americans should come first, and so on. So this was very crucial, and this is very common in continental Europe with the far right part. This narration: our people should come first. And moralization works, of course, the best if you some sort of portray yourself not only as saviors, but as well as that you can animate people to join you. So there is your narration always has to revolve around the motivation that together and in mass we can do something. This is what politics is all about. This is what you will find in most campaigns, so that one person alone cannot really bring about change. But if you all join us, if you all join our party, then we can bring about change. Then we can regain moral purity. Then we can some sort of preserve the past. So moralization is always about the past, that the past needs to be preserved, and that everyone has to do something for it. The next very successful campaigning or dirty campaigning, if you want, is victimization. Victimization just means that you represent yourself as a victim, the group you represent, the people you represent. I mean, we talked about Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. So you represent those poor peoples as victims who are being taken advantage of. You represent migrants as victims who are being taken advantage of, or you represent your own people as victims to be taken advantage of. And in victimization, you always create this narration that you as a victim, you cannot fight alone against these people. You against the people and against the system. The system would inevitably make out of everyone a victim. This is a very Marxist and mostly feminist narration. So you some sort of become a victim by the system inevitably, and because you are a victim, you know what's wrong. You know what needs to be done. You know that you have to stand up, and of course you know what's best for everyone. But you alone, you cannot change it. You alone need cannot do anything. But through your experience, experience as a victim, you can come together with other people. You can then think about solutions, bring about change, and the emphasis here is because you are a victim, you are some sort of a burnt child, and you know because of that what's needed to be done. And victimization has always something very urgent. I mean, this is every campaign slogan. If it does not include a looming threat, and that there has to be an urgent solution for this threat, well, this won't be a good campaign at all. You have to animate and motivate people to go to the election, to go and vote for you, or to support you in all matters. If you want to bypass a new bill or whatever, you need a lot of support by the people to help you to succeed, and so on. So every campaign, every political campaign should have something which urgent, which needs our attention. So you cannot stay passive. This belongs. This is part of you, and the same is victimization. Yeah, this means the narration just means we have been in during this for too long. We could not open our mouths. We could not do anything against it. But now we speak up. I mean, you have this mostly with or many feminist movements, many feminist or parties who have a strong support via feminists. They always emphasize this narration, so you have to do something against it. Or if you want about environmental issues, especially in continental Europe as well as UK, the Green Party, this threat which is always portrayed, we have to do something against global warming or else the planet is destroyed. So this is a very grand narrative, and we cannot go on like this anymore, because if we go do, the planet will be destroyed. And now is the time to come up with a solution, because those people or a lot of people suffer from global warming, especially those poor people suffer the most from global warming. They suffer the most of a destroyed environment, and now we have to some sort of bring those big polluters, those companies and so on, bring them in line and force them to accept more environmentally friendly politics and so on. So victimization works in that matter. So and if you want to succeed in victimization, if you want to reach everyone, then it is very important that you some sort of be awake about about who is a victim. This is very important, because in normal life, this is human psyche. Everyone feels in a way or another that he or she is a victim. You can feel, for example, as a woman, you can feel a victim because of your woman, or if you, I don't know, being not treated well in your workplace, or if you just not treated well at the queue while you were waiting for your coffee and so on. So these things play a crucial role. And everyone in a way or another will think himself as a victim. A man will feel himself as a victim about this all too dominant elite and so on. Poor people will feel themselves as victims of wealthy people. Pious people will feel themselves as a victim of debauched or depraved people. Perceived, of course. These things, they are all perceived. This does not mean that they are real and so on. However, but in order that victimization works, it has to be that you have to be awake about who is a victim, and of course you have to emphasize that only a few people can really see about or realize in that sense that being a victim is a bad thing. The same you have in moralization as well. So you emphasize that only a few people, a group understands that we live in a society of moral debauchery, and that something needs to be done. So this has to speak to you. So if you want to build your campaign, if you want to build your campaign around this theme, then you always have to speak to those people, and this means speaking to those people. Firstly, means that you some sort of draw people's attention by being exclusive. This is what people want. You don't want to join a club where everyone can go in and out how he pleases. No, this is an exclusive club. Only a few people know this. You have to keep even though those virtues which you need to have to see that society is depraved or heads towards debauchery, that those virtues are weak. So only those people who feel something is wrong, they already know things and so on. This the same as with victimization. This is a very broad term. You do not narrow it down. It speaks to everyone, and everyone who understands that you and your party are the solution. He or she is pretty much the one, a part of this. This is always very important. If you speak to someone through your political campaign, it always works with inclusion and exclusion. So there's only a few people who are smart enough, and this has nothing to do with your social standing. So you could be poor, you could be uneducated, yet this doesn't matter. You still can perceive something is wrong in a society. It is wrong in a society, and here comes the catch. This is always personal, the personal twist. Something is wrong in a society because you do not feel well. This is important in order to get people to elections. So it is not just about, we have to do something else. No, it is about your personal life. Global warming affects you, affects your personal life, affects the life of your children. You will grow up in a society where there won't be any trees and so on, or in moralization. You will grow up in a society where you personally will not have a say anymore. You, as an Austrian, as a native, as a German, as a Briton in UK, you will be the alien, you will be the foreigner in your country, and you won't have anything to say anymore. No, and this is about you, and you have to do something. And if you see or feel and perceive something is wrong, then you are already the chosen one. It is about your personal perception. This is very important. That's why you have to be awake. That's why you have to be awake about who is a victim, or who are the selected few who understand something needs to be done. And of course, the path then leads to your party. Because you and you alone have the solution for this debauchery, for this climate change, and so on. And this is very important to speak to people and to draw people to you. And this always has to be, you have to some sort of heighten or give someone the ability to climb on a pedestal, to raise himself above all others. This is how psychological attraction works. You have to some sort of give someone here. There is you have to give someone the chance and the possibility to raise himself from his social stand. For example, if you have, those people who vote for moralization are mostly men who are unemployed and who are disillusioned from society, then you say, we have a new place for you. We can help you to accomplish something. We can give your life a purpose, and we can help you to rise above all others. The same is true with globalization and so on. So there are some evil people who destroy our planet, and only you and you alone can do something about this. So you are special, you are unique. This is this calling. This is political calling, ideological calling. You attract someone with this, and it always has to be in one's